Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a phenomenal day. We're taking another look here at the crypto market overview and some specific altcoins. More importantly, looking at Bitcoin first. And if you're wondering why the heck is this guy wanting to look at Bitcoin first, he must be a Bitcoin junkie. While that's all true and well and good, if you don't know what you're doing with Bitcoin, you don't know anything about the altcoin market. Really, that's the bottom line here. So we're going to touch on that just to give you a foundation. I have a lot of people in my community, in fact, who recently joined that don't even trade Bitcoin. All they trade is meme coins and altcoins. Not to say anything wrong with that, but if you don't know what Bitcoin's doing, you're pretty much just trading with your head in the sand. We're going to look at fear and greed index here too. We can even touch on that right now. As a matter of fact, pretty simple, straightforward. With it pulling back, it's actually very, very positive because Bitcoin is still maintaining a good range. Even though, yes, it pulled back a little bit, it's still a very positive situation, especially with altcoin season index, still remaining fairly consistent. In other words, money's flowing away from altcoins, going into stable coins, and we're about to see another surge here soon with altcoins. Strong chance as long as Bitcoin can hold its range. So we're going to talk about that. Last but not least, of course, Chainlink's retest of its local support. Litecoin's descending type of trend here, a falling wedge. Super strong coin. We've got a long at 109 on that one. And then AVAX as well. And then I think we are also going to do, what was it? There's one other one I think we're going to look at. We'll figure it out here together. I think it was ICP, as a matter of fact. That's what it was. Okay, cool. So let's take a look here at Bitcoin first, kind of start from there and go get them, right? So starting with Bitcoin, here's what's going on. Simple way to understand it. We're in a bullish type of flag pattern. This is a very strong type of pattern here that typically breaks to the upside. Right now at this point, Bitcoin's trapping a lot of late shorts because everyone and their mother says that, hey, we're cooked. We're going straight down from here and the end is nigh, right? The truth is we could go down to maybe as low as 110,000, but there's a decent chance we don't go too much lower because buying pressure increases as the price goes lower, and ETF inflow is still in a pretty good state. While we had an outflow last week for ETFs, it's not consistent yet. It's too early to tell, and I think that we're in a pretty good position overall just based on the price structure here. We have a break of structure, different story altogether, but we have our previous high at 112 that was pretty much retested as a new low here. We hit 112.2, I think it was yesterday. So good stuff there. So Bitcoin's looking quite strong. Let's look at the backend data here as well. Let me make sure to save this chart before I move on. Let's quickly understand where Bitcoin's at too, because if you don't know where we're at here, once again, it's important to recognize this here. But we do have a type of trend here, keep in mind, where we're bearishly backtesting this descending trend. So I don't think we're out of the woods just yet. This is a common occurrence here where the price action will try to fake itself out and essentially trap late longs here, even though I feel like late shorts are being trapped more so. But this pattern here can be potentially problematic. However, we have more longs in the market with top traders here using leverage, as well as the bid-ask ratio is basically at break even. That implies indecision in this situation here. So it's not like a super bullish sign by any stretch. It's just that every time Bitcoin has pulled back in the recent past, granted that it was the last two months roughly since we've been in this range, we've seen a strong, super strong recovery. And almost every single time you get these extremely bearish signs, Bitcoin will reverse it on you. We have an open interest area here of support at 111,300 and roughly 110 as that secondary there. Short liquidation delta is at a pretty high state, 20 billion. That's a lot. Okay. Now, if this stays overextended for too long, we're likely to see a reversal, and that's generally what's been happening lately. We've been seeing these significant reversals. When we look here in the last 1 month, all liquidation has been fully swept from our macro perspective. So 114,000 was that last area, which once more could be a new resistance for us. It's pressed, we treat it like that, but the overall sentiment here is that we're seeing this unique behavior in the back end that not a lot of people will pay attention to, and it's usually an early sign of reversal. So I'm expecting somewhat of a run toward our previous low, that 115 range. There is some confluence there on smaller time frames, but we're still maintaining above the 50-day SMA on the daily time frame. Even though we are below our 0.618 fib level there, that's not super important to me. You'll know if you watch my channel that these people that are really just head first on fib levels, it's helpful, sure, but it's not like all you ever use in trading. It's just kind of like a placebo effect, okay? Now, I use fib levels all the time. It sounds completely contradictory for me to say that, but I can tell you in a lot of ways, people use it far too strong than they need to. In other words, there's other things we want to make sure that are confirming. All that being said, I've got a fair value gap as high as about 115,500. So this little short-term relief rally, if you want to call it that, 115.5 is probably the local top. We should reject and continue lower from there, just in the overall sense. But if we see this significant amount of volume sometime tomorrow, different story altogether. So that's where Bitcoin's at. Let's go ahead and get started with our altcoin analysis here and kind of help understand where we're at with these coins here, because these are coins that I get a ton of requests for. And these are coins I commonly trade too. AVAX, Chainlink, ICP, they're some of my favorites. And we take a look here though with AVAX first. Okay, we're gonna do AVAX first. Taking a look here, we can see $22 is that local area of open interest and roughly 19 down below. There's not a lot though. This is kind of like that big gap where people haven't averaged into their position because the price went up too fast. All that said, 200 million liquidation short delta, more bears than bulls in the market right now. And we have more liquidation on the downside left at $20 to $19. So all these things here essentially tell us the price should continue lower, right? So do you just short your shirt off right now? No. What I typically recommend in situations like this is to look for a bearish backtest, okay? So we can see this consistency here. Previous high, that should work as a new resistance for us, or should have worked as a support, didn't, but now we got the 200-day SMA and that previous resistance level for us there. So that level has more confluence. You'll learn that word if you watch my channel more. You'll know 2250 is that resistance there. It's not because it's a magical 0.382 fib level. No, it's because all those things combined together give us more confluence and more likelihood of rejection at that area. So that's kind of where we're at there. Secondary to that, a secondary entry consideration on a short would be 2350. I'm paraphrasing, rounding up a little bit, but 2250, 2350, those are the two areas I've got my eyes on here for AVAX for a short. So I'm just going to go ahead and add an alert and see what happens later. And once more, when I set these alerts, I reevaluate and consider jumping in after I look at the charts and I know what Bitcoin's doing first. People tend to take high leverage trades just in the blind when they're sleeping. Like, what the hell is that? That's so stupid. You'll get lucky sometimes, folks, but I tell you what, in the end, the house always wins, and crypto market makers are the house. They're controlling the dynamic here, and it's a lose-lose game if you're just blindly jumping in. All that said, that's kind of where we're at here with AVAX. We're not going to bother to look at the smaller time frames. The macro perspective here is a little bit more sufficient based on what we're looking for in the overall trading type of prowess. Now, what I mean by that is the kind of trader that I am, I like to trade today and sell tomorrow or a week from now, right? I don't jump in, jump out. I've got a day trading bot that runs automatically with my day trading signals. That's part of our community, the different story altogether. While I have that, I don't like to trade like that anymore. I don't know if you can see the white in my beard. I'm not a big fan of stressing out on the charts all day. Even though I do this all day for a living, I prefer to look at this and set it and forget it, right? So just understand that. Anyways, take a look here at Chainlink. Solid amount of open interest at 1550. That's that previous high range working as a new low. That's generally construed as a very positive sign and a good support level. What's also interesting here is liquidation short delta is still high. So shorts are still adding to their position as the price goes higher. So we could very well see a short squeeze based on that open interest area. And open interest, by the way, is just a heavy accumulation of volume. And you want to trust volume probably the most in trading. People tend to overlook it. They get, once again, so stuck on these fib levels that they forget to use logic and reason. And volume really speaks loud, right? No pun intended there. It sticks out, and it should be something you pay attention to. Either way, $15 is that next area of liquidation here. This is a 1 month time frame. Not really telling us too much, just that there's still a little bit of a chunk left down below. All that said here, taking a look at the charts, quickly to note, 1565, roughly 1550 is that area of support, previous high working as a new low. This is generally construed as a very awesome place to consider entry. We've got confluence here too. What do you know? You've heard that word before. 200-day SMA, 50-day SMA, all averaging out in the 1550 to 1650 range. So these are good support ranges here. I would say that the likelihood of further upside is higher for this coin. If it were to continue higher, keep in mind we got our previous high. We'll go ahead and check that in white. We can see here 1750 is a close approximate, which is just below our 200-day SMA and our fair value gap. So from before, we had some support there at that area. We can presume it'll be a new resistance. So if you're going to take a long, don't take a long to the stinking moon, right? Which most people try to tell you to do. You're going to want to take a long to the 1750 range and considerably or conservatively consider taking profit, right? Now, you don't have to close your whole position. Oftentimes I'll take 60, 70% on my first take profit and let the rest ride and see where it goes, adjusting my stop loss higher. Those are all things I teach my Trading Academy community and, of course, signals as well. So thanks again for the awesome feedback here recently from my community for those. I'm glad they're working out very well. The whole point is to educate you, right? If you're not learning, you're not living, and you're not trading correctly. That's all there is to it. Anyways, back on to ICP. We're going to go ahead and see where we're at with ICP. This is honestly not looking very good just from the bird's eye view, but I hope I'm wrong and the price goes up from here, but ICP is notoriously a pretty poor coin when it comes to continuation lower. It has a tendency of selling off. I think it's manipulation more so, just based on the percentage of holders are those who are, in it, if you will. Conversation for another day, but we can see 520, 550 as that local area of resistance based on open interest. Mind you, there's no open interest below the price, which is not a good sign. Liquidation short delta is high, about 40 million, and we can see here over at the monthly, there's still a ton of liquidation down as low as $4, $4.50. So I'd be definitely leaning towards a short in the 520 to 550 range, based on the simple fact that we had a previous low that should work as a new high. We'll talk about that here in a second. Just to quickly note though, from a macro perspective, this is not a good sign either. If you take a look here, you can see we've got a pretty significant bearish type of channel. Okay, commonly these continue to the downside because the bulls slowly lose control. So I think there's a distinct probability to go lower. It's weird to want to try to short at this low of a price point for ICP, just based on how well and strong it can be. But for right now, until it breaks this range, it's totally stuck on stupid, and there's probably no reason to consider taking a trade with it. Other than that, locally, we can see our point of control. There's about 540. We once more, if we look at our previous, what was it? It was right here at about 530. There was a lot of lows here that you can kind of see based on smaller time frames. So there's a lot of confluence here in the 530 to 540 range. I would say a decent chance that if you consider short in the let's just say loosely 530 to 550 range, that you'd probably find some good success there. This is based on the caveat that Bitcoin continues lower. If it doesn't, different story altogether, but that's just kind of where we're at there. Overall, there's more signs pointing down for this coin than up, based on our moving averages being above the price action and the macro type of bearish rectangle. All right, moving on to Litecoin. Last but not least, this is I wouldn't say my favorite, but this coin has shown significant strength here recently versus Bitcoin and altcoins combined. We have a long position open at roughly 109, and I think this coin's going to continue to push at least to 113, 115. The main reason why I feel that is because we're heavy with open interest in this current range right now, a lot of support. We've held in this channel super strong versus most coins making lower lows and lower highs. We're actually establishing higher highs. Moving on here too, one of the few coins that has liquidation long delta, implying that there's more buying pressure than selling pressure. And if we look at this here, this is actually a little bit better if we look at the smaller time frames. There is a lot of liquidation above the price action, say 113, 114, right in that range there. So there's a good chance we're going to see a bit of a squeeze here. A lot of shorts are going to get hammered here shortly. That in combination with this falling wedge pattern pretty much implies that we're more likely to go higher. Okay, we're breaking our lower high structure and establishing higher highs and higher lows in smaller time frames. So that's a good sign, or more so just higher highs and lower time frames, right? So these are very good things you want to look for. Keep in mind there is some resistance in the current range here. We got to what, point of control at 109 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, right there at 109. So closing above 109 today will be super important for further upside. There's a fair value gap upwards of 113 as well. So the truth is here, this coin's looking quite strong. It has more incentive to move higher than it does lower. There's not a lot of resistance above it, okay? So that generally implies sustainability. So this, in combination with a short-term run towards 115,500 for Bitcoin, leads me to believe we'll see 113 plus for Litecoin. But those are my thoughts. What are yours? Why don't you comment below? Let me know. I'd love to hear it. Feel free to join us on cryptocash.tech for if you want to become a better trader, of course. I've also got a lot of playout charts available on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. It's all available for you here. A lot of fun. Feel free to respond to this one here. Which one do you think you are? I don't know. I find this to be humorous, stupid stuff. But nonetheless, I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Really appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care out there. Bye-bye.